Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Working with Power Tools. I'm your host Frankie V and I am freezing my butt off. So I'm going to leave the heater on and I am going to make no attempt to include any kind of professional type of production value whatsoever in an effort to kind of convey the information. I'm also getting rather tired of having to redo and redo again because some dog is barking, the car's driving by, the horns are honking and the car alarms are going off, and the next door neighbors are arguing about who's going to take who or drive who to the hospital. So I'm just going to just kind of the heck with it. Yeah. We'll go with what we got and trudge through it for the sake for no more than to get the information out there and hopefully to create some sort of at least some degree of comedic value that I can live with rather than having to redo things over and over again just because thinking that I have to do things in a professional manner. I am not a professional. I am a content creator, and there are things that are amuses me in life, and one of them is the ideals that a professionalism is actually a word, which is actually a derogatory term created by consumers. So when they can turn to you as a salesman selling them a hunk of junk, that they're acting in an unprofessional manner. It is not a word that I really want to associate with myself. So we're just going to kind of wing it, I guess, and see what happens. If this crashes and burns, so be it. But the effort here is not to produce anything more than probably about 300 views at best. And if out of those 300, 100 of those happen to be environmental artists who need information as to the direction and where we're heading towards as far as a deliverable Urban Terror HD, then this hopefully will be of value to, especially to our third-party map makers as our partners in crime. That if we can get 10 of you guys inspired to make a map that is ready and available on release date, then it's a win-win situation for all of us. And there's no real need to hide any kind of. There's nothing top secret here. We get that a lot. You guys are being secretive. You're hiding stuff. You're talking about me behind my back. So, which is not true, really. It's just that we just, 99% of the stuff is just probably boring for the average person. But if we can add some some sort of comedic value to it, then maybe it'll be something that I would be interested in becoming involved with, just to get stuff out there. So we're going to move on. I don't know even. I can't even remember if I presented what we're going to be doing as far as the show goes. But I think the thing we're going to deal with today is FBX, what as a format, what it is and what it is used for, and how it is a valuable, let's say, cornerstone as to 3D graphics in general. So if anything, this is something that you should watch and pay attention to. Don't expect any professionalism. I'm done with that. And then also I'm going to do something on baking keyframe animations using 3ds Max and demonstrate how we can bring that into Unreal 4 and create real-time animated map objects that you can more or less drag and drop them in. You can create like a trigger event if you want. But that's what's on the agenda today. And of course, if you hear me talking like this is because I'm cold. And that's because I've been trying over and over again to do these darn intros that the only way I could do it would be with the heater turned off. So, forgive me. But moving forward, first thing we're going to do is kind of jump right into the mailbag and pick on Mr. Poor Johnny English, who has volunteered, being British as he is, to offer up a first sacrifice, a few questions that we can pick on. And the first thing that is up is obviously you see their web page up here. What am I doing? I'm pointing to the screen here. You can see it says custom map makers. Now instead of throwing up blasts that say mailbag, it makes more sense to promo the site that we're actually talking to. So if you guys any kind of other third-party enterprises in the Urban Terror universe that wants to get profiled and more important to be picked on, send me a package, and I'll be more than happy to toss it up here when we start getting into these say intros into various topics. So it makes more sense to profile our community than it is for me to show you some fancy graphics with some guy holding a mail bag and holding up a letter. Anyways, we're kind of get off track here, so we'll kind of get back to Mr. Johnny English. Sorry, Mr. English, for keeping you waiting here. Cold. Okay, so he starts off by, nice idea, Frankie. It was cool to see CMM form. It wasn't my idea to include the duck or the pony. Well, the question here is not so much the duck and the pony, but who the hell are the guys next to him, and what does the image represent? You know, there's got to be some sort of message there. I'm an artist. I read stories into these things, and there's a story here that needs to be told, and I'm not too sure what it is. But the only recommendation that I can say is get the duck out of there. Bad comedy. Okay, so yeah, thank you very much. Just, you know, let's have some fun. Let's keep on moving forward. And anything you want to know or need to know, as did I mention it already? That the 300 viewers, 100 of them are map makers. 10 of those produce maps that are available for Urban Terror on release date. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Anyways, now things are kicking off. A mapper will need to know some specifics before starting work. Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, the word here is not so much as kicking off, but bringing along first adopters as those who are interested in just doing stuff. Are able to have the information that they need as far as to be able to do their thing. So, you know, if you need to know something specific, then I'm your man to give you something specific. But as for everything else, you're in the same boat as we are, buddy. You know, it's just a question of when the glue is going to take hold and everything starts to fly. As that's that's normally how things occur around here. You're just kind of sitting around waiting for something to happen, waiting, and all of a sudden, boom, off you go. You know, 27, he nearly freaking killed me when he decided he wanted to go MD5, and I spent like 4 weeks hearing the birds come up in the morning, trying to get everything into shape. And to be honest, we really didn't get the kind of ultimate wall jumping that we were envisioning as part of the alpha release. And unfortunately, that whole thing crashed and burned. Different story. Kind of going off on a tangent here. Now, where the hell am I? I need a bookmarker or something. Okay, we're going to. Okay, well, no. Well, like, okay, you're in the same boat as us, buddy. Okay, so we're going to know. I am assuming you mean we're going to need to know the precise sizes of the URT HD player models. Flag models perhaps make it possible to download cheap models boxes to represent these things. Honestly, this stuff is out there already. It's a standard fact that anything that is built for any kind of three-dimensional environment has to be built to real-world scale due to the fact that most of these applications do have simulations, rendering, cloth, physics. These are all real-world based, physics-based requirements. In other words, whatever application you're using has to be able to generate the same same results as what would occur in real life. So all these elements and all these possibilities are based on real-world values. So which means that if you get a product, it has to be in units of scale relative to whatever world is going to be involved with. Now, this used to be a problem with UDK, actually. It drove us crazy because we were sitting there doing the math, and we don't know no matter how we figure this out, the guy's either going to be 20 feet tall or he's going to be 3 inches high. So there was a serious problem as far as maintaining any kind of relative scaling, particularly in that area, because they really didn't have any scaling. So you kind of had to made it up. Unreal 4, different animal. It is based on real-world values, which means that 1 unit equals 1 inch, so there's your scaling. That's all you need to know. And then everything else conforms to that. Now, probably why it's being made a big deal of is because there never has been any form of scaling value factors as to 3D in general. I remember I started out probably about 30 years ago, and I started really getting into it when 3ds Max 3.5. I know you had to get Character Studio as a separate package to it, so it was like $1,500 for 3ds Max and $1,500 for Character Studio, and then of course they did the stupid thing and put Character Studio into 3ds Max and then started charging $4,000. So go figure that one. But Anyways, there was no real world value scaling system at all. You just more or less winged it. How big is this? Oh, well, it's 16 units. Okay, what does 16 units means? Well, 16 units is 16 units. So you really didn't have that scaling factor. There's no such thing as world scaling. There's no such thing as relative scaling, and you just kind of made things up. So it's still not unusual today to sort of open up some of these legacy files, and what you get is in your scaled world of 1 unit equals 1 centimeter, you get this character model or model that comes from some package or comes from 1965 or whatever it was made, that turns out to be like this little peon of a thing in the middle of the screen that you got to kind of find, and the only reason that you know it there is because the transform handle is sitting on top of it, and you can kind of scale it up. So you really didn't have that ability. This has changed severely. Instead of having to guess at this stuff, it's a demand. It's everything that you buy it has to have some sort of some real world scaling value. Now, personally, what I use as far as development goes to make things work, to make things fit as to our requirements, I used a lot of times DAZ Studio 3D, which does meet this requirement of things that they built are done to relative real world scale value. So in other words, whatever you port in or out of DAZ Studio as to FBX is true to scale in Unreal 4. So what we've been doing as far as that is we've been using the Genesis model as our base rack, our form and shape as to overall development of our player designs and models as a means to assist us. And the other reason for that, of course, it's fully rigged. It's fully you can throw stuff onto it and clothing and what have you, and you can sort of test the stuff out in real time, particularly as to say things like more shapes and what have you. So it's a great tool for that. There's also the availability of a lot of Creative Commons that are involved in the Poser community. See, I'm making quoting things with my fingers here. The Poser community. So they've been at it for a lot longer. As far as content goes, than any other content provider that's on this planet. They have a head start on everybody. So if something comes along that sort of sparks your interest, I'm not going to mention names. They know who they are. That are playing catch up to these guys that have been doing this for I remember them back when I was a young whippersnapper. I have no idea. I just not keep track of that kind of thing. But it is a blur, as this video is going to be. So, yeah, certainly. You need to know precise sizes of the URT player models. They're this big. Flag models, etc. Perhaps make it possible to download cheap models. Well, you can get cheap models if you want free, because all that stuff is in the Creative Commons already. As to why get a box or put it in there when you get this really nice house that's got all this coverage and plants and trees growing out of it, and there's dwarves sitting on the front porch. You want a box? Okay, yeah, okay. I'll make you a box to represent these things. So certainly 1 unit equals 1 centimeter. That's the answer to that question. It seems easy to find CTF flags, but how are we going to define bomb spots, capture the whole flags, etc., and third-party maps? Are we going to be able to use this conditional map structure so that we can make DS bomb and CTF versions of our maps? Well, yeah, okay. By conditional, do you mean the use of blueprints? Blueprints is really dangerous. To be honest, it scares the hell out of me. The idea that if we actually allowed third-party map makers access to a non-crippled version of blueprinting, that ultimately what will happen is, somebody's going to do it. You're going to get into a map. You're going to be running around, gunning away, and you're going to be up high on the frag points, and then something gets triggered. The next thing you know, you're playing Donkey Kong. That's how powerful blueprints are. You can actually build a game inside a game. So as far as being able to find this kind of stuff, they'll probably be in entity form, unless we can find some way of being able to control, some asshat actually using this probability just to create problems. And they're going to do it. This is a new toy, not just for us, but there's a new toy for a hacker. That if we actually allowed blueprinting in a third-party map, wow. Okay, scares the hell out of me, that idea. But ask me the same question a year from now. See, here's the car. Oh no, that's the heater this time. I thought maybe the neighbors were back from the hospital. So, anyways, regarding the distribution of third-party maps, how will this work? Will there be a download URL setting similar to the current system, or will the maps need to be distributed in some other way? I would opt for the other way personally. We're on the same let's say structure framework as Unreal Tournament. So it's whatever they come up with, we can pull a pull request, and I'm pretty sure that Epic was the first one to actually introduce that into as a concept. Really, I mean, how brilliant is that? Instead of somebody having to run, screw it, I'm going to be totally unprofessional. Smoke break. Okay, that's better. Okay, so what was the question again? Regarding distribution of third-party maps, how will this work? Will there be a download URL setting similar to the current system, or will the maps be distributed in another way? And I said distributed in some other way. But the story behind it, of course, is the brilliance that is Epic. They actually invented the idea of having downloadable maps in real time, as opposed to having to run around, scooting to everybody's website to figure out who's got what, and then eventually say, screw it, it's not really worth the effort. But what really annoyed me about some of the things that Quake 3 did is that they never took any attempt at all whatsoever to include this type of feature as, that wasn't added after the fact. Once it went GPS or GPP or whatever it is you want to call it, then that was added as a feature after the fact, and of course everybody loved it. It was great. You didn't have to worry about running around finding crap here and there or whatever that'll make things work. In fact, at the end of a map, what would occur is 9 times out of 10, what would occur is you're just jibing, you're just kicking ass, and then of course you get into the next map rotation, and boom, you don't have the map, and then you gotta go find the map, which is not one of my favorite pastimes, I'll tell you that. As for distributing in other ways, there's plenty of let's say social network friendly type of means of distribution. Instead of focusing on on building just a map and then throwing it into a pit hole called a download queue, or what do they call them? What do they call them? Portals or whatever they want to call them. It's just a basic pit hole where people start throwing their maps in, which your loving effort, which is the greatest frickin' map in the world, and it could be brilliant and everybody should play it or whatever if they knew it was there, gets lost in the bit bucket. So, not a good thing, but it's a great way for actual distribution, but it's not really a form of distribution in any kind of manner or way that I would like to see, as to the other option, which is to take advantage of the, let's say, the social network aspect of the interwebs, where, guys can start profiling their own stuff, their own work through other means, like, you got Steam, you got Origin or Orgasm or whatever you want to call it. I'm not too sure what they're calling themselves. All I know is I can get free games off of it, which is the only reason why I have it installed in the first place. Battlefield 3, yeah, okay, that's great. Free, sure, even better. Wake me up when Titanfall actually comes out free and they don't give you some sort of 24-hour pass or whatever. So, I can see myself keeping applying for it, 24 hours. It's like putting quarters in the machine back in the days when you went to the arcade kind of thing. But anyways, back to the topic on the question. Did I actually finish answering the question? I don't think so. Well, I'll finish it anyways. The nicety about what's available these days as far as social networking goes actually is it's more beneficial to say the third-party mapper who wants to pimp and profile their own maps in an effort to sell their stuff to convincing server operators to put their map in a rotation that is already predominantly controlled by Uptown, by what's that weird one? Turnpike, that's it, and of course CASA and a few others that we all know and love, that everybody just keeps revoting back and over again as the map cycle changes. So, really, when you think about it, what the hell chance does anybody have these days of actually getting their map into anybody else's rotation that makes it worth the effort to put into it? So I would rather see, as a personal opinion, I'm not speaking for any way whatsoever on behalf of Frozen Sand that this is the way it's going to be. But once again, it's a community effort, not so much something that we can give you, but what you guys can do for yourself, and we just provide the means and the ability to do that in the first place. So in this case, Origin, we're talking about Steam. We're talking about the ability of the mapper to be pimp their own stuff out and sell the idea that their map is the greatest freaking map in the world, and that they should download it as a DLC through whatever means, be it Origin or Steam, and actually move and put that onto the server, which then is delivered to the client using the direct download method that we were just talking about, which is so great, but somewhat archaic as to allowing server operators to control what actual maps actually get into the cycle. So, new tech versus old way of doing it, and no brainer. Be distributed in some other way. That's the answer to the question. Okay, moving on. What format will third-party mappers use to pack their maps? Okay, great question. Something that is taken care of by Epic as part of the packaging of the Unreal 4 engine. It's a button. You push it and it says package it up, send it out, done. So that's something you don't have to worry about. And the cool thing about that is, of course, they use file encryption, which means some scumbag development sub-developer living in Russia is not going to steal your stuff and put it in, repackage it into some mishmash of different codes and combinations of this and that and the other thing, and then try to sell it to the idea that it's a new release on Steam, which actually happens, believe it or not. That some guy, I guess, I don't know who, decided to rip off Blizzard as to a lot of their sound content and so forth, repackaged it, tried to hide it. Believe me, you can't hide this shit from gamers. They'll know. They know. I'll tell you. It doesn't matter how hard you try to hide stuff. They always figure it out. So, anyways, some Epic figured out what was going on, and they put their Blizzard, and they put their lawyers onto Steam, to Valve, and of course they pulled it immediately. Try that if you don't have bucks in your pockets, buddy. So anyways, it might be a good idea at some point to create an official FS style guide. The mappers can refer to what I can refer to when I see, in doubt. Perhaps include a list of ideas where you can specify what you would recommend a mapper would okay, I assume that's going to be would or would not include. Anyways, it involves would, so I'm all for that. For example, vehicles, other travel devices like jump pads, teleporters. Okay. Yeah, jump pads, teleporters. Those are the kind of things that you have to ask for. We don't try to guess that map makers want jump pads or teleporters. If you want jump pads and teleporters, you have to ask us so we can put jump pads and teleporters in based on what you need. That's the way it works. Always worked. We try to guess based on what you guys are trying to do, not actually what you're asking us to do. So those are the kind of features, Jump Mappers they got a whole bunch of stuff, I'll tell you. I was quite surprised of the amount of effort that went into that. Wow. They got a whole lot of loving based on just a couple of mentionable ideas that the coders, they just jumped all over it and off they went. Vehicles, really? You really want to go there? Vehicles. Okay. Yes and no. I would definitely not. I would definitely not recommend to include them because, well, for one thing, the current player base does not like them. Well, most of them do. The guys that actually want it really don't talk about wanting them in the first place. It's like a taboo subject. If I go in there and I start talking, hey, I want dune buggies, the hardcores are going to come out and jump all over them like you wouldn't believe. It'd be like, what's the saying, rice on flies or flies on rice or something like that. But anyways, if you think about it, the whole concept behind Urban Terror, what makes it popular, why people like it so much, is there's no crap. You just jump in there, you load out, you get in the game, and you're kicking ass. You're taking the other guy out within 5 seconds. Now, honestly, what game is that You have to start at point A. You have to run all the way to damn point B, take 10 minutes to get there, and then you're finally going boom, 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 boom. And of course, you get fragged. If you're me, you get fragged within the first 30 seconds, and then you're out and you respawn back again. Vehicles? No. Why? This is what really kind of put the monkey wrench into, as far as I'm concerned, into Unreal Tournament 3 as to what happened. There was they introduced vehicles too soon, too fast, and too many all at once to a community that's just used to bunny hopping around, and taking a grab for whatever power-ups happen to be. And all of a sudden you got vehicles, and what do? You spawn. Then what do you have to do? You have to run for the damn weapon. It'd be a rocket launcher over in this rack here, or if you want the shock rifle, you have to go to that rack there. And then, of course, you want the tank, so you're going to have to run to the tank. And then, of course, if the tank's not there, you got to wait for the damn thing to respawn, and then you get into it, and off you go. Urban Terror, straight to the point. Boom! You load out with a frickin' tank right from the beginning, you got a game. With other things like that, no, certainly not. Hopefully question asked and answered. It might be a good side to you. Okay, well, let's get on to the real answer. Honestly, buddy, this is up to you guys. You want to set the style and the guide, it's up to you. It's always been the third-party environment. It's always been custom map makers who made these decisions as to the style and the look of Urban Terror, be it Urban Terror 4.2, be it Urban Terror HD. It's you guys who are going to be able to put that out a lot better than we could. We have rules to follow. If your map drops by 5 FPS for any reason at all, your ass is grass, and people will let you know it. And that's what they're going. They'll do that. I guarantee it. I limited my questions. Well, I didn't limit my answers, so next time go for it. Just to get the ball rolling. But personally, I have a zillion more. Honestly, I would love to see what a zillion more actually looks like, because I've yet to see it, and I hope this was at least entertaining. And I'm going to finish my smoke here and warm myself up next to the heater. Okay, moving on. We'll get into the next section in just a moment. And of course, you're going to have to expect a little bit in the way of hell on earth, because I can't live with the neighbors next door arguing about hospitals or when they get back. Oh boy. Okay, enough is enough. See ya. Bye.